and he's hit the backfield. A gang of purple jerseys. So ESPNU is here for the #1 and #2 team in the state as ranked by the Missouri media. It's the top 2 teams in the state. They're both undefeated, all with impressive wins. But yes, DeSmet has a little extra edge because CBC has won 10 straight games against DeSmet, averaging 51-10 is the score over those 10 games. So DeSmet has really something to play for here tonight.
So you'll see the crowd here behind us. They've been pumped up all day. They've got the signs. They're ready to go. This place is electric. It sold out the first day that we put tickets on sale. There'll be people around this entire place. So if you're watching at home, don't come out. Turn it to ESPNU at 8 p.m.
Please
and just stay home and enjoy. Tom, let's break down this first game. We'll start with O'Fallon. As they started off the season, they go there. The weather conditions were not in our favor to begin with.
Well, they were not in our favor. Early adversity, you can call it. But really, the story of that first game
now.
against
Good
O'Fallon
spin move to the outside.
team
40, 35, 30, 25, 20. He's gone.
Not going to get him. That's
Touchdown
Jordan Marshall.
CBC, no flags.
Or Jordan Clay. Jordan Clay.
Only 2 plays to
Third,
O'Fallon.
second and 15.
And
Here comes the
question is
blitz.
being asked,
He's looking for that
Jordan
screen. He
Clay
couldn't
silence
find it. He
is
throws it away. It's
That's
intercepted by
gone.
Cam Powell.
And then the
He'll
Cadets
take it to the
really
house.
found their gear.
Touchdown,
By the end of that game, they were
CBC.
absolutely
Way to
flying.
go,
And
Cadets.
Ty Michael just wanted to get rid of it. Ill-advised.
Chris, I talked to Scott a little bit earlier in the week about that second play of that game. They kind of set the tone. I think that scared a lot of people. That big gap, 60, 70-yard run, and then they end up scoring right away. That's not the way you want to start off your season.
No, it's not, but people got to remember, CBC graduated a lot of kids, and so if you look back over the last few years, when they've graduated kids, they've started out slow on offense and defense a little bit. And that particular game was no different. 2 years ago, it was against Miller Career where they gave up 40-something points. This year, they gave up 20 some odd points to a very solid O'Fallon team. But what you see over the course of the season is you see them settle in. That you see their young players start getting their groove, buying into the system, getting their niche, and then they're able to dominate when the games matter most.
Well, then you look that the rain came in, shortened that game, and then they have to go back the next day. We saw a lot of guys go down. Randy, you were there with me, and we saw a lot of guys not used to playing, especially early in the year, 2 days in a row, especially in a game like football.
And they went out and just dominated them from the beginning in that third quarter. CBC showed up ready to play, as always. To Coach Maris's point and Tom's point earlier, everyone's talking about what they've lost, right? Brett Gabbert, Brian Bradford. Those two guys last year averaged 452 yards from scrimmage per game combined. So far this year, Robinson Wayne, the quarterback, and Clay, Jordan Clay, the tailback, have averaged 488 yards per game from scrimmage. I think CBC is going to be okay.
Well, they are, and you've seen that. You've seen the guys step up, and that's what Coach Mingle's developed here. It's not about a rebuild, it's next man up. And you've seen Robinson Wayne and Clay, as young guys, really step into those roles and do a great job. And different from last year, the offense has really had to set the tone. They've got a lot more plays from scrimmage. If you look at the number of touchdowns that Robinson Wayne's accounted for, both running and passing, he's a completely different quarterback than we've had at CBC in a long time. He's electric. Every time he touches the ball, you better be able to account for him. And that's the question I have for DeSmet based on who they've played. They haven't seen anybody like Robinson Wayne. The teams that they've played have been somewhat one-dimensional. I was watching game film on the Hazelwood Central game. Hazelwood Central was really discombobulated early, and it was more self-destruction as much as it was DeSmet dominating them.
As you see behind us, our CBC cadet crew is up and running. They are painted purple. Later on, maybe we'll paint one of you guys purple. We'll see what happens.
Could get out of hand.
Yeah, well, it's going to get out of hand.
Also, I'd like to apologize.
We're at the Tim Kylo broadcast desk, mobile tonight.
I was just about to apologize. You proved my point. If we're repeating each other and talking over each other, there's a reason that broadcast crews wear earpieces. I have no idea what Randy's saying when they're cheering. That's what makes it fun.
Tim Kylo broadcast desk. Thank you, Tim Kylo. TimKylo.com for more info. Tim at TimKylo.com. But let's move on to that Edwardsville game. Edwardsville, a beautiful place to play. Another team who really did want to come and make a good showing.
Into the next day. Edwardsville, it was at halftime and get things rolling in the second half. And you see that. They come out, they create turnovers, they get big plays right out of the box, and now all of a sudden the other team doesn't know whether they're coming or going. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out because DeSmet's gotten out fast on everybody they played this year, gotten up big, and pretty much put cruise control on. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out tonight.
And I'm sure this will come up again as we turn toward this game tonight, but one of the questions, Aiden Robinson-Wayne will be going up against the best defense that he's ever seen in a game tonight. You look at what DeSmet has done defensively, but if you go back to that Edwardsville, against O'Fallon, he ran all over the place. Against Chaminade, ran all over the place. The running game was not there against Edwardsville, but he's able to get it done through the air. He adapts. The coaching staff adapts with their play calling. He ends up throwing for over 200 yards. He's 14 of 19. So he's able to get it done even though it wasn't game plan A. That's a lot of maturity from the sophomore quarterback that's going to come in handy tonight.
You said 14 and 19. This year so far, he's completing, what, 75% of his passes. So as a sophomore, to complete 75% of your passes, that percentage is better than Brett Gabbert, who is starting at a Division I college as a freshman.
Yes, go ahead.
He's also averaging 13.5 yards per carry.
Yeah.
And I think
not
that
bad.
was one of the big questions coming into this year with Brett leaving, the maturity of starting a sophomore at quarterback. But you look at when that pass is not there, he's not afraid to tuck that ball away and run with it, but he still has the composure that, hey, I'll just drift out to the outside, look for a pass. He doesn't throw anything away or stupid or anything like that. Very composed type player at a young age.
Very composed. Coach and I on the O'Fallon broadcast were talking about how one of his first runs when he went around right tackle, Aiden Robinson-Wayne has that first or second step. He's at full speed. And it's like the road runner with a bunch of Wile E. Coyotes trying to chase him. He is absolutely electric out of the pocket.
Well, then
It's unbelievable.
Then we move on to that Chaminade game, which is a special Thursday night game for us here on CSN and for this CBC team. I like the Thursday night game. Gives you a Friday night off for one, but you know you're the only game in town. And again, we go to over to Chaminade, a very pleasant place to play, and we get it done there too.
They rattled Chaminade's starting quarterback, who, by the way, is going to be playing college football next year at the Zoo. CBC's defense rattled him, created 4 turnovers, I believe, 4 or 5 turnovers, 3 interceptions. I thought the defense played great against a very elite level high school quarterback.
They were able to also, do some damage and ding up a few of the key guys for Chaminade in that game. And, that played a role late in the game when CBC started getting rolling. Chaminade didn't have an answer. There was a period of time there where they completely they just went away from the run. It was going to be the Brady Cook show, and it looked like that was going to be a bad decision, but then he made a couple of plays to keep it close, and then Jordan Clay and Aiden Robinson-Wayne kept coming back and more and more and more, and it was just too much for Chaminade to handle over the course of 4 quarters.
CBC had 731 total yards last week against Chaminade. I mean, 731 total yards.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Do you think people are still talking about who's not on the field with numbers like that?
I don't think so. I think you're exactly right.
But if you were to try to take the first 3 games of the season, looking at this, the 4th game, as being the marquee matchup in the first half of the season, if you were to try to say, all right, draw up the perfect run-up to this game, you would say priority number 1, get Aiden Robinson-Wayne off and running. Well, by being featured in the Post-Dispatch after Week 1 performance, job done. Get the defense fired up. We've seen them peak against Chaminade, 6 sacks. You mentioned the turnovers. Ray Lingard with 3 sacks. They only allowed 165 yards rushing against a team that can run. So you've got the defense coming into position. You've got Zach Hahn coming off of 5 receptions. You've got Chevalier Brenson picking up more receptions every game. Really, the first 3 games have been absolutely perfect preparation for tonight.
They really have, and you mentioned a couple of key components there. Everybody thought going into this season that Ray Lingard was going to be the heir apparent to Brian Bradford. And while he's been very, very important, it's been more on the defensive side of the ball because of the emergence of Jordan Clay. We saw Brian Bradford emerge against Edwardsville 3 years ago as a key contributor. Jordan Clay did the same thing as a junior this year. And now he's kind of taking the reins along with Artie McAlpine in that backfield. Ray's been able to concentrate on playing defense and helping shore up where they lost a lot last year. But the other guy that you mentioned is Chevy Brenson, Karate Brenson. What a revelation. Everybody wants to talk about Jordan Johnson tonight, but I'm going to tell you right now, don't sleep on that young man because he has definitely set the area on fire, coming out of nowhere, not playing football last year, but he's got a lot of experience from his run playing with the basketball team over the last year.
Once again, we are here at CBC at the Tim Kylo broadcast booth. Usually we're upstairs in the booth. We're down trackside, as you see. No better experience than this. We've been wanting to do this for 5 years? We finally got the opportunity. Kickoff is about 1 hour away, and it just continues to get more crowded. Like we said, if you're at home watching, don't bother coming. Just stay at home, turn on ESPNU. Guys, as we move on, we're going to take a look at, just a minute, we're going to take a look at our weather forecast for this evening. A beautiful night. We had some rain roll in. Almost shut down the broadcast for us, but we were able to get things back up. All the students working behind the scenes to get us back up. But, you come into this year, you hear all this negativity about everything we lost. As a coach, what do you tell your players that, hey, you've got to just ignore that, and you're the team on the field now. Build that confidence. Chris?
It's so hard to hear what's going on, but
Answer the question you think he asked, and we'll go from there.
All right, listen to how these guys got ready. So, one of the unique things that Coach does is their all-season program, and it's one of the most amazing things I've seen in high school. I mean, it's not just workouts and football camps, but they do their retreat, their Glencoe retreat that they do for 3 nights or 3 days and 2 nights. And the amount of team building that goes into that particular event, the way that they come together, we've seen over the years with Coach Pingle doing that. He's been able to get young guys to get into the fold very, very quickly. And then a lot of it is game planning and play calling, not expecting the kids to do something out of their ability level. You know, keeping it simple early, setting them up for success, and not worrying about the game as much as it is worrying about what the kid can do to help.
We've worried about the weather all day long. It was beautiful when we set up, starting about 5 hours ago. About an hour before the game, it just poured down rain, so we had to cover everything, take everything down. We got it back up. Let's go inside now to our own chief meteorologist, James Motes, to find out what the rest of the evening holds for us. James?
Thank you guys. I'm your CSN Chief Meteorologist, James Motes, and you're right, it is beautiful weather for football tonight. Currently, the temperatures are in the upper 70s to low 80s, so it may be a bit muggy out there, but as we move into the game and as the fourth quarter finishes up, the temperatures will be dropping into the mid-70s. No mugginess out there on your drive home. I'm your CSN Chief Meteorologist, James Motes, watching the weather for you as we send it back to the sports desk.
So if you had to right now at this part of the season, let's hand out something that you usually don't do, but we don't do this every day. Let's hand out an offensive standout player and a defensive standout player after 3 games.
Let Coach start.
Well, I mean, I'm going to start. The very obvious one is Aiden Robinson-Wayne, the quarterback, being able to step in with a former Post-Dispatch Player of the Year, Brett Gabbert, also, you know, Metro Conference Catholic Player of the Year, All-State Player of the Year. Being able to step into those shoes and excel and do a great job as a sophomore, I think speaks volumes. Not only that, but then statistically, you know, he's on the leaderboard all across the area and everything that he's done. And I think that for sure is your first guy right there. Defensively, I'm going with Ray Lingard. His ability to hold and glue that defense together as a senior, primarily as an offensive player, moving over to the defense, I think has been great. But his leadership is coming through, and he's helping hold those guys, and they've done a great job. That's not to take away from Chevy Brinson or Michael West or any of those guys, but those are the character guys that the guys are going to look to when things start getting dicey.
All right, and just a few minutes here, we're going to bring on one of the ESPN play-by-play guys for tonight. It's going to be a great night. They've been in town most of the day here. They've been in town since yesterday setting up this, I'm going to say spectacle. It's something we've never seen here at CBC. But earlier this week, I had a chance to sit down and talk with Coach Pingle about some of the things that he's experienced these first couple of weeks of the season. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Coach Pingle had to say.
I think anytime you start a new season, there's an evaluation period, and we usually use the first 3 to 4 games. And You know, our model this year is growing each game. I think that each game there's been incremental growth. I think we've gotten better defensively each game. I think offensively we've been able to move the ball a little bit. We had a little bit of a hiccups with turnovers in game 3. But for the most part, I think that each game there's been a culmination of, you know, the quarterback play's been better, the O-line play's been better, the D-line play's gotten better. And we're starting to make a little bit more plays on both sides of the ball. So I definitely think we're growing, and that's kind of what you want to see as a coach. I think that it does affect us because then we're going to think about playing younger guys that we weren't quite ready to play just yet. We were trying to make them grow a little bit through their system. But, you know, anytime you get game reps, it kind of helps them grow as a player and person, and they kind of see that what they need to work on and their deficiencies against what I would consider varsity talent. But, you know, it's kind of just alters your plan, but it is kind of the next man up mentality, and that's something we've been doing here for quite a while. It really doesn't change our game planning. It doesn't change really how we approach the game. There are a few different things we got to talk about, you know, how the game structure may be, more timeouts. But for the most part, I kind of told our guys, look, I know it's exciting, it's awesome, we get to be part of ESPN, but you don't get to watch it. You know, you'll be part of the game. So just remember, it's just a football game for us. It's a 100-yard field like everywhere else we've been. So let's just play ball and see what happens, and then let the nation see how we do. I don't think that I'd want it any other way, because I think that if you're chasing somebody, then that means that you're not quite where you want to be yet. So, you know, I know that we've had some success over the years, and we know that we got a big target on our chest. But, you know, I'm okay with that. Our guys are okay with it, and it doesn't change how we prepare. You know, our goal stays the same every single year. Not only are they young, they're also, some of our veterans are inexperienced because they didn't get to play because we had such a heavy senior-laden team last year. So, you know, like I said, the first 3 or 4 games, it's pretty vital for us to kind of see what we are. You kind of see what you can do and not do, and then you kind of work it throughout the rest of the year that way. But, you know, right now we started anywhere from 6 to 8 sophomores of 22 starters. So, you know, that's a lot of young guys playing in there that may or may not be ready, but you know, they're thrown in there right now because they are the best we got, and they've actually gotten better, and we're excited about where they go. And you know, we had the same model in 2016. We played a lot of young guys, and it kind of worked out for us down the road. So we understand that this is not necessarily a rebuilding, but, you know, retooling a little bit and kind of seeing where these guys fit in. It's kind of funny. I've been doing this long enough to know kind of what it's going to look like, or the highs and lows. But you're right. Some of these young players may see that, oh, I am pretty good because I've done this or this. And, you know, we definitely do a good job on our film study of breaking down things that they still need to work on. And we really focus on what they need to improve on, not necessarily all the great things they've done. But, you know, we also understand that it's only a 3-game sample, and we hope to play, you know, 13, 14 games this year. So that's the goal every year, and, you know, hopefully this will be just a third of our season. As a staff, we evaluated that we've seen that growth. We've seen that we've gotten better each week. So I think, yeah, you're on the right path. You know, I talked with Coach Mickler a little bit about his plan on how he kind of is doing it too, because he's got a young squad too. But it's just, you know, you get a lot of advice from people that's been in these situations before. But, you know, our guys are working their tail off for us. They're doing everything we ask. And we ask quite a bit of these guys, and you know, they come through for us. And, you know, last week really wasn't a surprise to us because we knew that every time we play Chaminade at their place, it's a tight game early on, and then we just kind of got to withstand a little bit, make our adjustments, and our guys are doing a good job of listening to us and making adjustments and playing high-quality football.
And Randy, as we saw there, Scott very confident in coming into this game tonight.
He always is confident. He's always got CBC prepared. That's why they've won 2 straight Class 6 state championships. And so I'm so excited for the game to get underway. I mean, just listening to Coach Pingle gets you pumped up for the game.
And if you're looking at the 4th shot, wondering why Chris and Tom look a little different, joining us now, Jay Alter and also Craig Hobart. Glad you guys could join us here from the ESPN broadcast crew. Thanks for stopping in.
We won't tell them that.
What's that?
We
better
upgraded.
looking.
We upgraded.
Way better looking. You guys available next Friday night for our football game? It'd be great. So what's the experience like for you? Have you seen this everywhere you go?
No, this is certainly unique. I mean, you got the college game day set up here. You got the student section loud and proud an hour before kick. You can tell that this rivalry and this football program means something special here.
Yeah, Jay, good.
No, I said the neat thing about what we do is we go around the country.
Right.
And high school football is something I think anybody who's gone to high school can relate to. But everybody's experience is not the same. So we've been to Texas and Florida, and when you think about high school football, you think about those states. But I think it's really neat for a place like Missouri in the middle of the country for people to see, you know, it's important, it's big here, and certainly representing well.
Jay, we talked earlier today a little bit about how this came about on your schedule. Kind of, you know, you saw it, you saw the 2 schools, the way they were ranked, some of the players going to the
looking at Christian Brothers and I'm thinking, this poor team's going to get crushed. They have no ESPN 300 guys. But then you learn about the history and the tradition and really a decade of dominance, not just in this rivalry, but across the entire state of Missouri. And you go, okay, now I know why we're here. And then you come and see it, and it all makes a lot of sense why this program is as dominant as it's been.
So talk about, you guys go to different places, you mentioned it a minute ago. Talk about the amount of, because you talk about an NFL game or a college game, you're fed a lot of statistics, you're fed a lot of, the game day programs are a little bit thicker than in high school. Talk about the level of prep you guys have to do to show up at a high school where you really know nothing about either team until you get there. What level of prep do you guys have to do?
It's a little bit easier for me than Jay, just because this is what I do year round.
And he's a lot smarter than I am, so that helps too.
Yeah, exactly. Being a part of the rankings, so I'm more familiar with the players, but it's difficult. We rely heavily on both coaching staffs. Like, you were great head coach here at CBC, as well as Coach Steeple over at DeSmet. Great. Give us a lot of information, but you got to do a lot of research. You got to do a lot of legwork. Talk to the kids. Thank God for Google, right?
Right.
You Google a lot of information. Read a lot of articles. So you're right. There rarely are SIDs. So you got to kind of do the legwork, but that's part of the fun.
Yeah. So, all right. So where have you been so far this year? Where have you been so far?
So the last 3 weeks we have been in Texas, the state of Texas.
Right.
We started in Houston, then we did Dallas 2 weeks ago. Last week we were in Tyler, Texas. We were in Miami, Florida. We were in New Jersey doing IMG Academy.
Georgia.
We had 7 games in about 3 weeks. So this week we only had 1 game. We've been able to lock in on 2 great St. Louis schools, and we're looking forward to it.
And my question to you is, we know you NFL, hockey, basketball. What's the response to high school football on television on ESPNU?
Yeah, like I said a little bit earlier, it's unique in a sense that very few people get to play in the NFL. Even not as many people get to play college football, especially at the FBS Power 5 level. Everybody's went to high school. Either you played high school football, or you went to a pep rally, you sat in the stands, or you have children now that play high school football. So it's it's much more relatable to everyone, and I think it's really kind of interesting because what this is a kind of a glimpse into the future of college football. You're going to see like Jordan Johnson from DeSmet on the field for Notre Dame probably next year. You're going to see the big man for you guys at guard in Indiana in 2 years. So you're getting to see some of the stars of tomorrow. Like I remember seeing Julio Jones in high school and AJ Green. So we're seeing that next wave now. I think people enjoy it.
And I'd add, it's not just football. We get to see great football, but we get this too. And yes, you get the fanfare in college. At the NFL, you lose that. Obviously the talent's a higher level, but I'd take this awesome crowd any day of the week.
So can I put you on the spot for 1 second?
Sure.
What have you learned since coming here, doing your research? What have you learned about both programs that either surprised you or that you didn't expect to learn before you got here?
I think, first of all, I think that, like he mentioned a little bit earlier, the CBC to me is a very interesting team. I would compare them a lot to a program called De La Salle out in Concord. They've won 100 straight games. There's a movie, When the Game Stands Tall. Sometimes they're just programs that are great high school football programs. And I don't mean to diminish the talent on teams. You've got some really good football players, but there's also some high school programs that just seem to cross their T's and dot their I's, and no matter who's in those jerseys, they find a way to win. And I think that CBC is one of those programs that kind of gets underrated a little bit, just because maybe you're not in California or Texas, but I think this is really a kind of a high school type program that you can almost kind of build a model off of that other high school programs can kind of work on.
Not to get, into the St. Louis, sports talk radio, but it's a shame that you guys don't have a professional football team to root for anymore, because I just see how much the community cares about the sport. At the high school level, I can only imagine the support, they gave the Rams for when they were here, and I know it's been a couple of years, but you can still tell. We walked into a sports bar the other night, and they definitely miss that professional football team to root for. That being said, I'll put you guys on the spot. Has that turned the attention, especially CBC? The Rams leave, then you guys win 2 state championships in a row. Has that kind of injected the community with the football fandom they've needed?
Well, Randy's our play-by-play guy. I'm behind the scenes for football, but I will tell you that we are always the team on everybody's schedule that is circled, whether they win state or not, whether it's soccer, basketball, or football. If they can beat CBC, they've done what they needed to do.
And I'll say, I think the coverage of high school football in this state has jumped tenfold over the last few years. 10, 15 years ago, high school football was sort of an afterthought in terms of coverage, media coverage. And now there's shows dedicated to it. There's online broadcasts now dedicated to it. It has picked up steam, and I think partly because we lost a professional football team. I think that has a little something to do with it. Sure.
Well, Jerry, Craig, I know you guys to get up to the broadcast booth. We are about 45 minutes away. We appreciate your time. Love having you on campus today. Best of luck here tonight.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Great
Thanks for having us. Looking forward to a good one.
We're going to go ahead and take a look at a special feature we did earlier in the week on our training staff, our Mercy training staff, especially Kristen Jeans. Let's take a look.
I'm Kristen Jeans, Head Athletic Trainer for CBC High School, Outreach Athletic Trainer for Mercy Sports Medicine. So as an athletic trainer for CBC High School, I get here about half an hour before the school day ends, about half an hour before practices start. I do all the preparations with getting the athletes ready for games, for practices, whatever might be going on for that day. So I am responsible for preventing injuries. I am also responsible for doing some of the rehabilitation whenever they have injuries, getting them back on the field a little bit quicker. And then obviously whenever they're at the games or whenever they're at practices, I take care of all the emergency care as needed. As an athletic trainer and as the sports enhancement stuff is continuing to change and to develop and get more bigger, it seems like what's becoming more of a norm is people are starting to not only just lift weights or just do conditioning, running hills, running stairs, and those kind of things. They're starting to be more agile. So they're now starting to move in more multi-directions actually whenever they're starting to train, which is actually a good thing because our bodies are not just one plane. We need to start moving in multiple planes, especially when they're out on the field. So I think as my role as an athletic trainer as these things develop is to continue to watch their form, to continue to watch what they're doing and keep up with the research because the research is showing us more and more of the injuries and what can be bigger causes of things. So these athletes are getting bigger, they're getting stronger, they are getting better, they're getting faster. And so trying to keep ahead of the game and trying to stay on top of all that means that we really need to break down and see what's going on inside them. So we look at a lot of their movement patterns and see kind of what they're doing with those and how can we correct. Maybe they're not moving one way correctly and they might have something going on with the hip or an ankle. If we can correct that before it becomes an injury, now we might be helping try not to have such a worse of an injury to actually have them get back better and quicker. Mercy gives us a lot more tools and stuff, so with their help and the backing of the health system with Mercy, their doctors help us, the physical therapists help us. We're able to put together more of a package that whenever I'm working with the athletes, I'm able to give a little bit more. So we look and we do a lot more research with knowing more of what's going to help prevent certain injuries, what might help prevent heat illness, and some of those other types of very important things. We have a lot of follow-up care. We do a lot of research with concussions. So I follow a lot of the concussions. I'm able to do a little bit of rehab. I speak with administration, help with them, help with the school nurse. We all kind of put a package together, especially with these kids with concussions. Then now we're able to keep them in school, in the classroom, but allow for some accommodations so now they're able to get back safely and quickly.
As you saw there, Kristen Jeans in the Mercy Healthcare System, a big part of what we do in every sport. She's been around for a long time, and I know the kids really trust her along with the coaches and all the students. When they see her face, when they're injured, just that sense of calm. I asked her that question. I said, what do the kids do when you show up? They're like, well, they know I'm going to take care of them.
What's the first question she asks them when she runs out on the field? Do you know?
Not always. It's different every time. It depends on what's going on with the particular kid. She's been here since the second year this school opened. At this particular location. She's been a great resource for us and our kids and has taken great care of them over the years. I know as a coach, having an experienced trainer that knows our kids and is around a lot and understands our coaches and our program, is a great resource for us in terms of taking care of our boys.
Yeah, we want to say a big thank you to Mercy for being a sponsor here on the show, along with Tim Kylo. Can't go wrong with Tim. We love Tim Kylo here on the Brawls booth. If you want to save on your insurance, State Farm agent Tim Kylo, tim@timkylo.com. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a little bit, I don't want to say a break, but we have a lot of things that go on besides athletics here at the school. Academics, we have the band, we have, you name it, 1,000 programs here. One is our band program. Let's send it inside to Leo, who is going to talk a little bit about the band, and then we're going to be quiet. We're going to let you hear the band play for a sec. Leo?
Thanks guys, I'm Leo Ramos here at the studio, and as you mentioned, we have an amazing award-winning band program that's just a piece of the student experience here. Let's take a look.
We are going to take a look at the band now. As you heard, you're listening to Dale Sharkey and the CBC Band doing a great job. Just one of the special programs that we have, award-winning programs here at CBC. Gentlemen, we want to say thanks to Jay Alter and Craig Hobart for jumping into the spots. I'm sure the viewers were wondering where you went because you were there and then boom, you were gone like this.
What did we miss? We couldn't hear anything. Were you talking about us?
Just a little bit.
One of the things the ESPN guys were saying was, in doing their research, and you guys can attest to this, is doing their research about this current CBC team, their first thought was, oh, well, DeSmet's got some more marquee players, and this might not even be a game. And then they did a little more research on the program, and they were very impressed with what you had mentioned earlier, and you had said earlier, CBC builds a program. They have a program in place. And so they were really looking forward to see how that unfolds out on the field.
Well, I think we're going to have an electric, we already have an electric atmosphere. I think everybody watching tonight can definitely tell that. And as I look down, as DeSmet fills in, I mean, we're 35 minutes from game time, and there's not really a seat to be had in the house. This is the hot ticket of the night, and this is a rivalry night in St. Louis. But case in point, as I looked over to my right, and as I was waiting to come back on, Darren Sunkett and the East St. Louis Flyers coaching staff is here. They're the #1 team in the area, with CBC being 2 and DeSmet being #3. And we're playing East St. Louis, and so are DeSmet the next couple of years. So you can obviously tell he wants to know what he's up against, and he's looking at this a year ahead of time. He also said, hey, I want to be part of one of the most electric atmospheres in St. Louis tonight. This is a guy who's been doing it on a large stage and puts on that Scholars Classic every year, and he wants to be here.
Randy, you look at over the next 4 or 5 games here, as we look ahead in this schedule, what games do we circle as a game besides tonight that could, I don't want to say give us trouble, but you're looking at with maybe that eye of optimism or skepticism?
I don't know if you guys would agree. I would say anytime you get a big program from another state to come in, right? It's an unknown. It's a powerhouse from it because Coach Pingle wants those games. He wants to play those great teams, just like that team that came in from DC last year. He's playing Winton Woods on October 5th from Ohio, a powerhouse program. And I do think anytime a Kansas City team comes across, there's a little bit of a natural St. Louis-Kansas City rivalry. And I think Rockhurst coming here is always something that they circle. Would you guys agree with that?
I would, and I just, what you see consistently over the years, you talked about the ESPN announcers recognizing the program at CBC.
Right.
When you talk about coaching in the state of Missouri, you look at the Rockhurst teams, you look at the CBC teams, those are 2 teams that are extremely well coached. I have a feeling that those are not only games that the players look forward to, but games the coaches look forward to seeing, hey, how are they going to approach this? I have to imagine it's a fun learning experience for them too.
It is. Last year with playing St. John's from DC, this year from Winton Woods from Ohio. They're a defending state champ. They're 3-0 right now. I think that's the marquee game you circle. The Rockhurst head coach is retiring after the end of this year. He's been there. He's been coaching for 40 years. These are marquee games, and they're measuring sticks because once you get outside your geographic region, you get to measure yourself against other talent and the way other teams prepare. And Coach Pingle's always learning things from other people. He's constantly looking at different ways that people are doing stuff, and that's part of why he tries to put together as much of a national schedule as we can do.
Guys, I just want to let you 2 know that they weren't booing you and what you were saying. Just the opposing team was walking in front of us. You couldn't tell because you were talking. I just want to let you guys know.
They might be booing me because of
I don't know.
Randy and I were talking, but you guys started talking.
The math teachers are always popular.
We talk and they cheer.
That's how it works.
That's how it works. Hey, you look back a couple years ago, we bring St. John's to town, a powerhouse in this country. As you mentioned, Coach Pingle not afraid to step outside of that box and really challenge the program and the team against the national ranked team.
Well, as Tom and Coach Maris said a minute ago, they schedule East St. Louis. They schedule Edwardsville. East St. Louis is a power. Edwardsville is generally very good. Rockhurst comes over almost every year. Oh, we go there. And then you get Winton Woods from Ohio. You get St. John's from DC. But what is that all in preparation for? Not just building the program, but prepping this team to win what? Another state title, which is the ultimate goal.
Yeah,
right?
and I want to go back to the years, 2012, 2013, 2014. One of the problems that CBC would run into is that they play so many lopsided games during the season. Then you get into the postseason, all of a sudden you're pressed, you're trailing in the second half, and that's the first time all season you've been in that boat. Well, now the scheduling that Coach Pingle is using, and we even had a good conversation with Coach Cornell Robinson, the wrestling coach, about this, about scheduling the toughest possible competition you can, so that when you get to playoff time, there's situations you've been in before. The other thing I'll add is that playing games on Thursday nights, Saturday afternoons, it's good to break that routine because when you want a versatile team, you want a team that isn't so tied into their routine that if something doesn't go perfect, it's going to be the end of it. You want a team that's resilient, that can adapt, says, I don't care what the routine is. If I have to come back on Saturday to finish a game that's already started, if there's a Thursday night game, I want to play football. And that is another effect of scheduling some of these different games.
And you see that not only in the football program, scheduling people from outside of our bubble here in town and country, but you see that with the basketball program where they travel in order to get that national schedule. You talked about the wrestling program, the baseball program traveling to Carolina last year, and then looking at new things that they can do. That's something that we do all the way across what we're doing here at CBC is trying to build that national brand.
It's tied in. When we had our ESPN guests here, they were saying that high school football has gotten to a point now where it is following a college model, and I do feel like a lot of that college model is based on the schedule, right? I mean, back when we were in high school, our high school teams were not scheduling teams outside the state, and I think it's happening more and more, and CBC is an example of that.
You see more and more schools from this side scheduling teams from the Illinois side, the Metro East, because they can, with a reasonable amount of not overexpending themselves, they can get that different feel. Because quite honestly, you go over to Illinois, it's a different brand of football. It's much more in line with what you see in Kansas City or mid-Missouri. It's a much more physical type of football, much more defensive oriented. Whereas in St. Louis, it's a lot of spread offense, it's a lot of high-flying, high-scoring games. You know, you saw it last year with other teams where once they scheduled outside and they got those challenges, they were able to reach their mountaintop.
Makes you want to be a kid again, doesn't it?
It's loud. I love it.
Maybe we can get a shot of the crowd right now going crazy. One of our school chants. You can see everybody up there having
Should we get riled up a little bit?
Should we just run up there?
I want to. The freshmen who ended up painting purple, but
yeah, that's true.
We've got the whole student body.
Well, as we mentioned, there's so much more to CBC besides athletics. We have so many programs here, but our academics here at CBC really stand out just as much. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the characteristics of a man and men for tomorrow, what we try to promote here at CBC. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Men for tomorrow, brothers for life. We say it often, and we take great pride in our commitment to this motto. That commitment has become a part of who we are at CBC. Our brotherhood is well defined. We see it, we feel it, we experience it every day. It's in the relationships we establish, the moments we share, and the memories we will cherish forever. But what does it mean to be a man for tomorrow? It means that you've prepared your mind, your body, your spirit, and your conscience for anything that life might throw your way. Your experiences at CBC should push you, challenge you, and inspire you to make the world a better place. And after 4 years, every cadet who walks across that stage at graduation will be a man who is guided by faith, strengthened by intellect, committed to justice, and prepared to lead and serve.
I am a difference maker, oh I am, only one who speaks to him, and I am the friendliest of friends of God. I am a difference maker, oh I am, only one who speaks to him, and I am the friendliest of friends of God.
At CBC, we win awards, championships, and accolades of all kinds. We love to celebrate together and couldn't be more proud of these accomplishments. But ultimately, our purpose is much greater. CBC is here to develop young men who will go out and make a difference in the world. That's a man for tomorrow.
A CBC high school education is about a transformation from boys to men. It is about the formation of a brotherhood that will stand the test of time. It is about service and discovery. It is about coming to understand the world around us and the people that live in it, and ourselves through real life experiences.
What's up, Mr. Brockman. What's up, Jack? Hey guys, welcome to Innovation Commons. Can you tell us a little bit more about this space? Yeah, this is the Presentation Center. This is designed for 21st century collaboration and learning. You know, Jack, when we conceptualized this space, we visited places like Enterprise, Worldwide Technologies, and Aclara. And in talking to their executives, they identified the areas of STEM, entrepreneurship, and leadership as skill sets they most desire. And so Innovation Commons is designed to support all of those areas.
Awesome. Well, where should we go next?
You guys gotta check out our STEM Academy.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Brockman. Follow me this way.
There's just a shift in education, a shift in learning to benefit our students. And we're talking about really helping to prepare these students, these young men, to go beyond these walls. Then we have to do our due diligence and provide that type of environment.
One of the things that we like about the space is it mimics what's happening in industries, right? So we know that this is a shift not only in the way schools are moving, but the way companies are moving and businesses, and we wanted that kind of authentic experience. If we teach only what we know, we're doing them a disservice.
Big time.
We got to teach them how to learn on their own, because before long they know more than we.
As you can see, there's always something going on in the CBC STEM Academy. Now let's head over to the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship and see what's going on over there.
One of the first lessons that we teach our guys in freshman leadership class is that everything builds off of character. And then we move into things like commitment and understanding what commitment is truly about and the importance of seeing something through, having the resiliency to not cave at the first sign of adversity. It takes grit.
We're focusing on leading yourself before you can go out and lead others, and really trying to define what leadership is. It's not necessarily being, you know, captain of a team or a club, president of a club. Really, it's about trying to just impact the world in a positive way.
And when the guys walk into this place, there's something that changes. I asked one of my students the other day, I said, what do you think the difference is? They said, well, when you come in here, you come in here to work. And so this place, just by the very nature of being in here, changes the mindset. It changes their way of thinking.
I've had a lot of fun here today, and I hope you guys did too. I actually think we gotta get out of here because there's a class coming in here right now. But before you go, I want to personally invite all you 8th graders out there to come and experience our brand new Innovation Commons. There is something for everyone, and I know you guys will love it. Just follow the link on the screen and it'll take you where you need to go. Can't wait to see you guys.
Student here. If you're interested in coming out for a tour, simply call our admissions department. Check us out on the website at cbchs.org to find out more information. As you see behind us, the crowd, 10 minutes before the game, going crazy. I actually feel like maybe 35, 40 years ago, like I'm in high school, I'm jumping up there. What do you think? Should we run up in the
feel young again? What if they passed you up? We should
do
have
that
Randy go back there and pass them up.
Let's do it to Maris. Put Maris. Just pass you up the desk.
Mr. Pingle seems to be pretty popular.
Pingle for president.
He's a math teacher too.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
We'd like to say, I don't know, you were mentioning we have some Australian flags or something.
Yeah, the Austrian flag, well represented over there. I'm not sure exactly what the genesis
I have
of that
not
is.
seen the flag on a pole in a long time like that.
Not in a while, not in a while.
I don't know
but
if we
you
get
go
a
back
shot
to the student atmosphere, and one of the things that I think makes this so fun is that CBC DeSmet being so close to each other, a lot of these kids went to grade school together, they know each other, they hang out on the weekends sometimes, so you get so many connections that are made. And these are two student bodies that know each other very well, and that's one of the dynamics that I think makes this rivalry so much fun.
It always has been, you know, playing against DeSmet, SLU, Vianney, Chaminade. things for me when I went to CBC, and it's been a great opportunity.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to wrap things up in about 2 minutes here. We've got the pledge, the prayer, the kickoff to this game, everything getting started a little bit earlier because it's on ESPN.
Right.
So when we're done here, just sit back, relax, flip it over to ESPNU, and enjoy the game. It's been a great time. We're going to have to, I wish we had enough equipment to do this every week. How much fun would this be?
Every week. We should do it every week. Put it in the notes.
And this has been a lot of fun, and so many students have made this possible. Really is remarkable what these guys are doing. So thank you to all the students that have made this possible.
All right, we do have a little bit more time. They've added about 4 minutes onto our schedule here before they start the prayer, which is perfect. It gives me a chance to ask you about your predictions.
I thought
I
was
know
off
we don't
the hook.
like to do that, and I wish I had the
we were off
cadet
the
head
hook,
out here
Randy.
with us. But
Yes,
we'll start with Randy.
Get the cadet head out on.
Where's Lee
Has the hat on?
Corso? Where's Lee
Yeah.
Corso?
So I'm going to say, we've talked about it on every broadcast for the last, 3-4 years. I don't care what program comes in to play CBC. When they play CBC, it always comes down to speed. CBC speed will wear you down at some point. I think this game starts out close. I think in the second half, CBC runs away with it. I'm going to say 42-24 Cadets.
I think it's going to be a bit more of a grind. I really do think that these two teams coming in with all the ESPN cameras could be a little bit different dynamic for a lot of these players. So much hype, and nobody wants to make the big mistake on national TV, so I think it could be a little bit of a feeling out period early. But then I think it gets going, especially second quarter, third quarter, and into the fourth. I'm going to go 35-28. Nice, even 7-point intervals.
No field
CBC
goals.
wins.
No field goals.
35-28.
All right,
CBC
Chris,
wins.
it's up to you.
Well, here's the deal. You're looking at a DeSmet team that maybe really doesn't really know where they're at yet because of the level of competition they've played. At least that's the way I look at it. And CBC's played really, really good competition, and nobody has slowed CBC down offensively. So I don't expect DeSmet to be able to do that tonight, at least not in any significant sort of way. So I really think CBC is going to stay right around their season average. I'm looking at 47-36. I think that the DeSmet offense is explosive. I think that CBC defense is still trying to find their way, but I think they have just enough to get this done for CBC tonight.
I'm going to go 35-21. I don't see it as high of a scoring game as you guys see it. I go 35-21 CBC. I think it'll be... I think defensively, we're going to see, even though it's an offensive powerhouse on the field tonight, I think defensively they're going to step up to the challenge. I'm kind of flustered. I'm hearing people saying 1 minute to pledge. I hear them yelling. I'm trying to explain to you. So as we wrap things up, we talk about this being a great atmosphere for the kids to have this on national television. This would be great to have every single year, at least one nationally televised.
Let's see. Who's going to call ESPN and tell them that we want them back here once a year for the next 5 years?
I'll work on it. I will get on that. I do want to point out that YouTube is international, so every game is internationally broadcast. So we've got that going for us.
Randy.
There you go.
We've got that going for us.
And we've got a lot of soccer and a lot of football coming up for you guys over the next couple of weeks, actually month here on CSN. We appreciate Tim Kylo and Mercy and East Bay and all our sponsors here on the show. We can't do it without you, and we cannot do it without everybody behind the scenes. A big crew today: Joe Cunningham, Braden Paulus, we've got Timmy Fitzpatrick, we've got Charlie, we've got you three, we've got Jack Pope. I mean, we got everybody. It's been fun.
It's been a lot of
We've
fun.
seen everything, and it's starting to rain again.
Hey, just in time.
We couldn't prepare this any better, right?
Time for us to seek shelter and enjoy some football. Yeah.
There you go.
All right,
Yeah.
we are going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight on the show. We appreciate, as we mentioned, your time. Switch it over to ESPNU, but always make sure to keep CSN on your little click list and watch.
That's right.
Subscribe to us on YouTube. Also, have us on your social media. We'll keep you up to date. We've got the Hall of Fame. We've got a lot of great things going
And
on.
we'll be back next week at SLU. Friday Night Football.
Sounds
CBC
great.
at SLU.
Sounds good. For Randy Molman, Tom Eichwald, Chris Maris, and the ESPN staff, and all of our guys here on CSN. We appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next time. Enjoy the game.